Are you a badass?
Yeah!
Do you eat lightning, crap thunder, and then ride the lightning you just ate?
Hell yeah!
Do you stomp around in shoulder pads that blot out the sun, and also your peripheral vision?
Whoa!
Do you like men?
Yeah. Wait, what? I mean, it's not that there's anything wrong with that.
What I mean is, do you prefer, strong, masculine protagonists? Would you rather slay demons as a giant hard case wearing 300 pounds of armor, or instead a male model who has a belt over his nips?
Oh yeah, well when you put it like that, I could go for that.
We're geeking out over Darksiders.
Hey, welcome Internet. This is the inaugural episode of GTF O, which stands for Geekin the F Out. I'm your co-host, Chris Farley.
And I'm Freddie Prinze Jr.
And we'd like to let you know that the early adopters, you folks watching right now, you're the ones we love the most.
That's right. When we become a web sensation, you can say to all the new kids that you liked it before it was popular, which will actually be you being the only people to ever like it, because we'll never be popular.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Maybe in our minds.
In our minds.
So, GTFO is a show where we just basically kind of rant and talk about how we feel about various, geek-based media or phenomenon or whatever. Everything is kind of fair game. Books, movies, video games, whatever. And today we're going to be talking about the game Darksiders.
Darksiders came out in 2008. It was the maiden voyage from a new company called Vigil Studios, and their essentially creative director is a gentleman named Joe Madureira, who spent the late 90s, my favorite latter half of the decade, drawing lots and lots of awesome comics. Okay, not lots. Occasional comics. He wasn't very prolific, but he was awesome.
Yup. He tended to draw the, large, oversized, giant shoulder pad, armored, aesthetic that's kind of really caught on in recent years. He started off with this great book, Battle Chasers, which was one of the earliest comic books that I ever read, because I'm not a very big comic book guy. It was good, basic but amazing art, rememberable characters. And he kind of inspired that whole, phenomenon that you see in, Warcraft and such.
That's right. Joe Mad, what he's really, really awesome at is he takes an iconic setting that appeals to geeks and basically injects it full of steroids and covers that steroid bloated husk in tons and tons of badass-looking armor. And for Battle Chasers, he did it with high fantasy. And for Darksiders, he did it for, a milieu us machismo-inflated geeks really enjoy, which is the apocalyptic war between heaven and heck.
Yeah, angels and demons, that sort of thing.
Beating each other up with swords bigger than themselves.
Yeah. And each side is sort of the iconic representation of good and evil.
It really kind of boils down those ideas. And so Darksiders follows War, Horseman of the Apocalypse, who's accused of kicking off this Armageddon shindig a little bit early, and this leads to the extinction of all mankind. So he has to go out to prove that he didn't in fact do it, that he's not at fault, and his wacky adventures commence from there.
So, my only real complaint with the game, the only thing that actually bothered me at all, was that I kind of thought the backgrounds were a little bit washed out, the textures were a little low res, and it felt kind of dated.
Let's talk about the characters a bit. They really are amazing models. That's where Joe Mad really shows his strengths as a designer and as a concept guy. These guys all look amazing. I think the word I've used several times is iconic, and they really do. You wouldn't expect the Horsemen of War to look anything other than what war looks like, and you wouldn't expect demons to look any different than angels. The angels especially come out looking really awesome.
Oh, for sure. They're an aesthetic that I think is kind of missed the mark a lot of the times, where typically your standard, a fantasy angel is walking the earth as just some dude in a trench coat who can sprout wings.
And talks like John Travolta. And that's embarrassing.
That's not that interesting. I mean, nothing wrong with John Travolta. I'm just saying, I kind of wanted gleaming armor.
There probably is a lot wrong with John Travolta.
He'll have us killed.
He probably will.
Yeah, he's sending guys. Well, he won't because nobody will watch this. But if he were, he'd send guys to kill us.
That's true from Mindhead. Mm-hmm. But I think where Darksiders got into a lot of trouble, it was in its gameplay, which is very, very good gameplay, but not altogether original gameplay. And I think the gaming community still has some trouble figuring out when originality is the greatest good.
Yeah, people accused it of ripping off this, that, and the other. I feel
Represented
by saying it's like God of War or is a God of War clone, which it really is not. There's not too much similarity there at all.
The hero wears a lot of red.
If you're gonna compare it to anything, it most certainly is guilty of ripping off of Zelda. The whole game is really based around the whole Zelda form of advancement, where everything's kind of based around these items you get. You go to a dungeon, you find the item, you complete all the puzzles for the item, you fight the boss with the item, and then you move on to the next item.
But I think where the gaming community has trouble, because it's such a new medium, is determining when it's okay for a new work of art to ape or build off of the ideas of another. So you take the Batman games, the Arkham games, they have a lot of concepts from other games, from everything from Metal Gear Solid to Assassin's Creed to that same GTA sandbox that everyone uses, but where Batman gets it right and Darksiders got it wrong was Batman disguised its influences really well. Darksiders wears all those right on its sleeve.
This is actually a major problem that I have. Not every website or magazine does it this way, but for the most part, it's commonly accepted nowadays that pretty much all reviews start at like 7. So anything less than 7 is garbage, and 7's like baseline, kind of crappy. 8 is worth a purchase, and you generally want things in the 8.5 to 9.5 region to actually be, considered good. To the point where like even game creators are getting upset with like an 8.5 rating when really 5 should be middling. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to not use the entire scale if you say you have a 1 to 10 scale.
So in that universe, a game like Darksiders, which is really in my opinion an A or an A- product, got like low 8s, which means it really is a B- product to many people. But low 8s in that universe that Jason is describing kind of feels like a C- product. It's not at all. It is absolutely worth your nickel if you like badasses hitting each other with giant swords.
There'll be a sequel, but there was also a few things like it released on the exact same day as Bayonetta, and fellas, boobs. Moving on.
I think it's time for us to do our embarrassing transition and talk and rate this product.
I think we should. Jedi Magic?
Jedi Magic. Woo.
So, dude, what are we going to rate this thing?
We have ratings now?
Yeah, well, how else are people going to know what to think unless we tell them?
That's true. I think it makes sense to assign this thing we've been gushing over for the last 10 minutes some sort of arbitrary value, or people are not going to know what we think about it.
Yeah, like, for example, a number from 8 to 10.
That's served the video game industry well for the last couple of years.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, here goes, people. Geeking the F Out officially rates Darksiders a party in your mouth and everyone's invited.
Well, thanks for watching for the first and last time, everybody. For those of you that want to stick around, we're going to go now so you can plunk down some money for a copy of Darksiders.
Because there will be a quiz.
Till next time, I'm Jason.
And I'm Mike.
And that F could stand for anything.
But I know that it's gone, so I pretend like today it's the same.
That's on film.
That's an ass.
Oh man.
Woo!
Are we filming?
Yeah, that's how we roll in our GTF O. We're barely there.
You're maybe like a little too into it, don't you? Are you a badass?
Whoa!
Do you eat wrong line? Do you like men?
Wait. What?
Sorry. Do you like men?
Hey!
You like men? Do you like men?
Why is that?
Sorry. Good reaction. You should keep it. Keep it out loud. Sorry. Oh, it's funny for us, but you're gonna hate the show.